Welcome to Verbling. My name is Hamish, and in this second hour of our IELTS classes today, we're going to look at part 2 of the speaking section, and in particular, we're going to look at questions around important life events from your past. So that could be a difficult decision that you had to make in the past, and of course, so we'll need to talk about, well, hey, when did this happen? What was the choice? What choice did you make? Are you happy with the choice you made? Now that we're thinking, okay, in the future, when we look back, we can think, well, was that a good choice? Was that a bad choice? And also, and very important to talk about this issue when you're answering often when you're answering a part 2 question, how did you feel? What were your emotions? Were you happy or sad? Or let's use some better descriptive language than that. Were you worried? Were you concerned? Or were you excited? Were you optimistic? Were you confident? So it could be negative, it could be positive, but very important for us to describe this as well as we can to paint a clear picture. Because a question like that, I mean, well, how did you feel? No one else can answer that. Only you can give an answer, and that's why the IELTS examiner will often include questions like that, because the British Council, who organized this exam, they want to test your communicative ability. This is not an easy exam, not at all. They are looking for a high standard of spoken English, and of course all the other skills related to English throughout the exam. But in the speaking section, they are looking for clear, direct answers. They are looking for good word choice. It doesn't have to be the most advanced or complicated English word, but it should be an appropriate English word. It should be a good choice. It should be a good way to explain an emotion or to describe a situation. Yeah. So we need, it's very important to practice with a wide variety of questions when we're preparing for IELTS, and really very important to practice our speaking and of course our listening as well. And I really hope we get a good class today. Lots of students from different places, because the more students we have, the more experiences we can listen to, and the more different examples we can get of examples to these questions. So that can be great, of course, to practice our listening as well as practicing our speaking. That's really going to help us prepare for this IELTS exam. But I want to let you know, even if you're not taking the IELTS or the TOEFL or the TOEIC or the certificate, if you just want to improve your ability to hear the question and to answer the question in a direct and understandable, coherent way, this is a great way to practice that, a great way to improve your spoken English when asking and answering questions. This is a good thing to do. Hey, that's enough of my introduction. Let me say hello to everybody here, and we'll get started, okay? Let me see. Let me say hello to Carlos. Hello, Carlos. Welcome back.
Hi, Hamish. How are you?
I'm pretty good. How are you today?
Good, quite good. Yeah. Today is Friday. It's a good day. It's the best day in the weekend.
I agree with you. Really good to see you, Carlos. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks.
Let me also say hello, and I'm glad you could continue with us. Enes. Hello, Enes.
Hello again, teacher.
Hello. Very glad you could join us for the second hour. I'm going to move straight on. I'm glad the sound is good and that you're with me. Let me say hello to Giovanni. Hello, Giovanni.
Hi. I'm pretty good, and it's a weekend, and it's time to study English.
It is. I'm afraid so. I hope we'll have a good class for you, Giovanni. Thank you for joining us today. Nice one. Let me say hello to Kenneth. Hello, Kenneth.
Hi, everybody.
How are you today?
I'm fine.
I just woke up a few minutes ago, so.
Okay. Well, we'll try and make this an energetic class, so that we'll feel good and woken up by the end. Very nice. I'm glad you could join us in class today, Kenneth. I hope we have a good practice for you today as well. Let me also say hello to Krim. Hello, Krim.
Hello.
How are you?
Hello.
Hello. Can you hear me? Okay, Krim.
Yes, I can.
Okay, Krim. Where are you from?
I'm from Algeria.
Welcome to Verbling. Welcome to this IELTS speaking class. Hey, good to have you in class, Krim. Let me also say hello to Sekatura. Hello, Sekatura.
Oh, hi, Hamish. Hi, everyone.
Welcome back to class. How are you today?
I'm okay.
Yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad to hear it. Oh, we have room for one more person here. Let me. Oh, where did they go? Oh, yes. Man, hello, man. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine, thanks. Hello, teacher. Hello, everyone.
It's so good to have you in class. Thanks for joining us. We are going to get straight into this because so good to see you all in class, by the way. Thank you for joining me. Thank you and welcome again to Verbling. But we're going to get straight in here because I've got some really good part 2 speaking questions for you to practice. I want to show you an example, first of all, okay, to show you what this part 2 question looks like, because these aren't just, oh, hi, how are you questions. These are pretty big. There's a lot of detail. Now, when we get a question in part 2 of the exam, we get a minute. We get 60 seconds to prepare our answer. So that gives us an idea that it's not just a, hey, what's your favorite color kind of question. There's going to be a little bit more to it. We're going to need to give a good description, a clear description, some important details, and the IELTS exam, the examiner is going to give us a lot of help in terms of the things we should be talking about. They'll give us the task, and they'll read that out to us. They'll also give us a card with the question on it as well. So let's take a look at one of those question cards before we start. Okay, 1 second. I'm always excited when this actually works for me. There we go. Everybody, can you see my screen? Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, that sounded like a yes to me. Here's an example of a part 2 question. Hey, Giovanni, can you read the question out for us, please?
Yes. Describe a subject you enjoyed studying at school. You should say when and where you started studying it, what lessons were like, what made the subject different from other subjects, and explain why you enjoyed the subject.
Great reading. Thank you, Giovanni. Very nice.
Okay.
So the part that the examiner reads out in the IELTS exam is this part. So there's the task. They will also give you a card and say, look at all the information, make sure you give a full answer. And when they say that, they mean, well, you need to include these points in your answer. You don't have to do them in that order. You could start saying why you enjoyed it. But the truth is, this is a very nice structure to follow, especially when you're learning how to do answers like this. So don't be afraid of all that information. Use it. You'll have 1 minute to look at that card and prepare your answer. Thinking about, how do I describe this? What do I choose as my answer for that? So yes, a classic. Describe a subject you enjoyed. Well, we describe the subject. We also talk about when and where, so how old we were or what class we were in. What are the differences between this subject if it was English? What's the differences between when we studied English and when we studied math or other languages or science? What were the classes like? What was the teacher like? Were there a lot of people in the class? Was it male and female together? Things like that. And of course the last one, well, this is our favorite subject, right? Probably. So what was it? Why did we like it so much? And I think we would all give probably quite different answers to these things. And hey, the truth is that you could choose any subject you like. There's not a correct subject to talk about. The most important thing is to give a clear answer and to give a lot of good explanation and description. Okay, so that's our example. We're not going to yeah, Ken, I've got to mute you there. There's a lot of noise coming from that microphone. We're not going to practice with that one. That's just our example. Let me, because I promise you we would look at life event questions, okay? So let me change our example and go to, Ken, I need you to mute that microphone for us, please. There we go. Okay, let me see. You can see me at work here with my many, many questions. Not that one. I like that one. Now let's do that one first. All right. Let's check. Okay, that's still sharing that screen. I'm going to give you, everybody here, I'm going to give you 1 minute to look at that question and prepare your answer. Okay, so please, everybody, take those 60 seconds to read the question, and that's describe a time in your life that was difficult, and take a look at those other 4 points right there. What was the problem? What were the things that helped you? What did you learn? And what advice, if someone else is in a difficult situation, what advice would you give them about how to overcome, how to improve, how to get over, or solve a problem as well? So let me start those 60 seconds. There we go. You've got 60 seconds to prepare your answer. Those 60 seconds start on my clock right there. Okay, 5 more seconds. All right, there we go. I'm going to cut and paste this question as well into the chat box so we can keep looking at it. There we go. Yeah, there it is. Well, let's get back to our faces, because that's kind of more fun to look at sometimes. All right, so the question is back in the chat box. I want as many of us as possible to practice answering this question. I gave you 1 minute to prepare your answer, okay? And let us start off with, the first person I spoke today was Carlos. So, Carlos, are you ready to give me your answer?
Yes, I'm going to improvise the.
I'm okay.
Answer.
Fantastic. Now, and Carlos, you have up to 2 minutes. You don't have to take 2 minutes, but 2 minutes is the maximum amount of time. So, and of course, all I ask is everybody here just tries to answer. We're going to do some good things, some bad things. That's what the class is for. So, Carlos, when you're ready, please give me your answer.
Okay. Yeah, I am talking about a problem with my motorbike. I have my motorbike two months ago doesn't run. It broke down, and I didn't know what was the problem. This problem for me was a bit was important for me because this problem in that moment seems difficult to repair, and it was expensive to repair. I decided to complain this problem to the I don't know. I don't have the structure of the. It's very simple. Yeah, today is a bad day to to practice.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Well, you give an interesting example. So I'd like to ask you a sort of a final question, Carlos, on that. If my motorbike breaks down, what advice can you give me? Because first of all, I can't fix it myself. I don't know anything about motorbikes, right? So if my bike breaks down, what advice can you give me about, well, for example, like finding a mechanic or finding a garage? How do I find a good mechanic is my question for you.
Yeah. The problem was that it was a bad problem, very bad problem, and in that moment the motorbike was in warranty, and my advice maybe could be find the maker of the motorbike, the brand. And to complain to this problem directly to the maker of the motorbike. I don't know what to say. Yes.
No, absolutely. So we can talk about the manufacturer, which is a crazy long word, right? Manufacturer. There we go. Yeah, that'll do it. And yes, in terms of motorcycles or cars or trucks or bicycles even, we could absolutely use manufacturer in terms of, well, we have a problem with the machine, especially, of course, if everyone is having the same problem with the motorbike, we can say, hey, let's go to the manufacturer and say, well, dear Ford, what is the problem with our machine? Yes, I think it's an interesting task, Carlos, because it takes practice, and of course it's hard, and it's even for a native English speaker, if they go into an exam like this without practicing, without preparing an answer or preparing, if they don't know what IELTS is looking for, an English speaker, even a native English speaker, or if you answer these questions in your own language, it's still difficult. So we have speaking English as a second language. That's hard enough. We also have prepare a long, well-structured, coherent answer in 60 seconds and then speak it. That's tricky as well. So it takes practice to organize the answer. Of course, it takes practice to think quickly of an answer, to make our choice. The quicker we make that choice, well, the more of those 60 seconds we have to plan it out. They'll always make sure that you have, in the exam, they'll make sure you have a pen and pencil and paper. I can't do that for you, of course, over the internet. But they'll make sure you have that, and they will expect you to take some notes, because it's, speaking for 1 to 2 minutes, it's hard just to do that and remember to keep in mind all the things that we want to cover. And the taking of the notes, that's practice as well. Those 60 seconds, we can become very good at preparing a clear, coherent answer that hits all of those points. Because let me just jump back to the large screen just to look at that question again. Of course, we've got what was the problem, and you described that pretty well, I think, Carlos. The rest of it, what were the things that helped? Really, what did we do? If we looked for help from someone else, if we did some things on our own, what helped? What made it better? Yeah, and yes, what did we learn? What is this? Because of course, whenever something bad happens, if it doesn't kill us, we tend to end up with some good experience for later on. Yeah, and also I asked you that question again. What advice would you give someone in a similar situation? Because if we've gone through something, we tend to have some good advice. We tend to have, you know, our own personal experience and what we can tell other people. So this is, I think it's really good to practice these types of questions because they're challenging, to be able to hit all those 4 points, to prepare in 60 seconds, all that stuff. Carlos, thank you for your answer. I really appreciate you having a try at that question today.
Thanks, Hamish. I think that the problem is that I wasn't convinced about my speech. I think that is a stupid problem. I think that, in my opinion, you must in 60 seconds you must to find a real problem that you in that case, a real problem that you had and that's all. And that, I think that my speech is about a stupid problem, I think.
All right. So well, Carlos, if you chose a different thing to talk about, do you have an idea of what you would choose instead of the motorbike example? No, sure. Yeah, of course. So if you're practicing this question a second time, what would you choose as your example to talk about instead of the motorbike?
I don't know in that I don't know, but in that moment I can't answer you.
Okay.
But I think it's a difficult question. I think for me, it's a very deep. It's a kind of topic, a bit deep. I think
it is absolutely right.
To find in that moment a good example to make your speech, I think.
I agree. I agree that for a lot of people, and I think for myself, I think I would find this a difficult one to practice. I think for some other people, they might be quite quick to think of the example. It might be easier for them to talk about this one than the example question we looked at, which describe your favorite subject at school. Some people will find that very easy, and other people will be thinking it's like, well, I didn't have a favorite one, and they could be quite difficult for them to discuss these things. I agree with you, Carlos. It is the word is exactly right. It is a deep question. Normally we would take some time to reflect on a difficult time, and this idea of, let me put that in the box there. Oops. A difficult time. Yes, that needs to be something, if we're really going to answer that question in a direct and correct way, it needs to be something pretty serious if we talk about a difficult time. And that it could be a variety of things. It could be either, maybe a time when we were sick or when we were injured, or of course a member of our family who was sick or injured. It could be a difficult time. I think Giovanni was sounding a little sick there.
Sorry, so sorry.
Okay. Okay, we're okay. A glass of water for Giovanni. So it could be about sickness, or I don't mean to laugh because it is a serious subject. Sickness, disability, injury, a death in the family even. Or we could talk about an economic difficulty, a time of unemployment, a time where we just didn't know what to do. Maybe we're struggling at university, or of course a difficult time with a relationship or a marriage or a friendship. Plenty of things, many more things than I could mention. But yes, so these are big problems, and I think it's a challenging question. And it's kind of why I want to practice it with us today, because I think we need to look not just at the ones that seem easy, but this is a real IELTS question. They could definitely ask you that, and of course, an English speaker could have a conversation about something like this very, very easily, especially with an American English speaker who are much more likely to to talk about big things than a British person, for example. When you've just met them, they're much more likely to want to talk about those personal issues with you. So if we have some good practice discussing and to giving descriptions about these things, that can be really helpful. Yeah. All right. Let's let someone else. But thank you for the practice, Carlos. I appreciate it.
May I try to answer, please?
Igor.
Yeah.
Let me see. Sure. Why not? Igor, tell me.
Okay.
Now I want to put the question in the box again. 1 second, so that everybody can see it.
Okay.
I know you've got it. But I want to get it in there just so so I can see it. To be honest. There we go. Okay, Igor, please go ahead.
I began my professional career as a teacher, and at some point of time, I decided to switch to another profession. So when I began to teach a new subject, it was very difficult for me. So I asked my friend who has an experience in this area to help me, and with his help, I succeeded in my studies. So my advice is, it is very good to ask other people for help.
Okay. Thank you for that answer. I thought you follow the structure. That's really important. We can do that. We can choose if we get, the more practice we get, we could move that structure around. That's up to us. But we definitely need to answer each part, each of those mostly four parts of the question. So the structure is good. What the examiner would like for each of our answers is as much detail as possible. So you talk about an academic problem, a problem with your studies. Can you tell us more about that? The nature of the problem. What kind of subject were you studying?
I was a sport teacher, and once I decided to switch to a computer domain. So it was very new for me. I didn't have any experience with computers, so I began to study from the very low level, from the beginning. I didn't have a computer at all at my home. So the studies was very tough, and I had to train a lot, and I have to spend a lot of time on studying. And my friend helped me to study.
I think and those are exactly the kind of details that the examiner will be listening for in the exam. So to give that kind of background, to describe the situation at the start, to say, well, this is the year, or this was my age, this is what I was doing at the time, and then well, now I have a difficult situation because, as you say, now I'm trying to move to a whole different subject in my profession, and so you give those details about, all right, okay, and then I was learning the subject, but at a very basic level, and then this friend was able to help me. So yeah, good advice, of course, and definitely good advice to seek help from someone who can help you progress, who can help you advance like that. So yeah, so good structure, and just important to give as much detail as you can, because our goal, our objective in part 2, especially in part 2 of the IELTS exam, is to create a picture as possible for the examiner. If the examiner is listening and thinking, okay, I know exactly what this difficult situation was like. I can imagine how this student felt in that situation, and I understand completely how the student got out of that difficult situation, and that advice the student, that makes sense, that really connects with the problem. If you're giving a clear enough answer that the examiner is getting all those good details from you, and that the examiner isn't having to work too hard to understand what you're saying, well, I think you're looking at a good score there. Yeah. But let's follow the structure that they give us on that question card, like the examples we've seen today, and let's also give as much detail as we can Let's talk about those experiences. Let's describe, in this case, let's describe that difficult situation, what we did, what we learned, what the advice we would give other people. And I'm saying, you know, let's do all these things, not because it's easy to do, but because that's what the examiner is going to be listening for. That's where those good scores are going to come from. A good, clear, well-detailed explanation. Absolutely. There you go. Thanks for practicing with us. I appreciate that. Let me go to NS. NS, hello. Are you there?
Yes, teacher.
All right. NS, are you ready to practice with us?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to put the question in the chat box once again so we can see it. Poof, there we go. NS, when you're ready, please answer that question for us.
Okay. Around 3 or 4 months ago, my classmate Murat took off ice skating in our university. One day he informed me a free ice skating day for university students, and I said we can go we can go together to there. And later we went to a place in this Zeytinburnu. There was an ice skating area, and the whole of plant were ice. And later we start to skating in there, in the pitch or field. What can I say?
You just have to keep going.
Can I say field for area or stadium? What can I say?
Oh, we'll talk about it after. If you finish your answer, we can talk about that, NS.
Okay. And later we were skating, and I drove off the place, and my shoulder increased, and I arrived from there, and we look out for the doctor. We went to doctor, and they look out for my shoulder, and they had a film. Maybe is it a film?
Maybe. We can talk about that as well.
Okay. And later I couldn't move my I couldn't move my shoulder, and later about around 1 hour the doctors is get me down on a place, and one doctor put my shoulder, and the other one is stand up my shoulder, and later they treat me. They treat me shoulder, and at the moment I able to move my shoulder, and it was good. Around 2 minutes ago, I can't able to move my shoulder, but at the moment I move my shoulder, and it was a good experience.
So, and tell me, what is your advice for other people?
My advice is they can get a shield when they are playing football, basketball. When they are ice skating is very important. Maybe sometimes.
Okay. Hey, an interesting answer, and I know, Enes, you were working hard to give some of that vocabulary. You were working hard to give a good description. If we look at some of that vocabulary, yes, if we don't have the word for where we're skating, for that thing of ice, well, that makes it difficult. But even if we don't have the word, if we can make it clear, you know, because sometimes sometimes we don't have the word. So that's going to happen in an exam, no matter how good our English is. sometimes a native speaker is like, oh, what is that? What is that? I've forgotten. The ability to describe something, if we don't have the word for it, that's the examiner is always going to like that in English. Now I know what word you were looking for, of course, and we can talk about a skating rink, for example.
Rink.
So let's
Okay.
Oops, I can't spell it. There we go. A rink, which is an interesting word, but absolutely just that area of ice where people are skating, a skating rink or just a skate rink. But with your answer, the examiner knows that you mean rink because you've described the situation. So don't worry too much about particular words. Don't stop. Just keep going. Yeah. Really, because the examiner is not going to answer any questions in those 2 minutes. It's just for you to talk. Okay. So they're just going to listen. And if you ask a question, they're going to be like, well, I can't say anything, because they're not allowed to do that. Another good example, when you are working hard and as to have the vocabulary you were talking about, I think you said to sort of put a film on the shoulder. And I'm guessing that maybe it would be a bandage. For example, I'm not sure. I'm not too sure about that one. So that would be one where we would need to describe it as well as we can. If film isn't the right word, is it big? Is it thick? Is it heavy? What color is it? That might give the listener an idea of, oh, okay, it's a bandage or it's something else. It sounds to me that you talk about what the doctor did when he sort of knocked it out, right, and knocked it back in. So if you want to practice this one again another time, you could definitely talk about having a dislocated shoulder. So dislocated. That kind of injury, quite a common injury when someone has to, when the doctor, I hope, has to push it back into place, and then you get a sort of a pop, and then it's okay. Oh, now I can move again. Thank you. But so a common thing is, oh my goodness, if you're skating, anything where there's a lot of speed and a lot of impact, it's easy to of course hurt your knee or your arm or your shoulder. So I think dislocated shoulder sounds about right. I'm still hearing this word from you in a way that's a little confusing. And let's take a look at that chat box.
Okay, later.
Thank you very much. Okay, so you know how to do it, right?
Yes.
So be consistent with that one, because if we say it the wrong way, it's a distraction. The examiner will know what you mean, but they're looking for a good, clear, because you use that word a lot. It's a great word. So let's try your best to give that as clear a pronunciation as possible. I thought an interesting story, by the way. I think it's a good example. It's a good example. It doesn't have to be the worst thing in the world that happens. A difficult time, though, definitely, if we're talking about an injury, like the one you suffered, that's a good thing to talk about. Yeah, nice one. Enes, thank you for practicing. Let me go to Giovanni now. Hello again, Giovanni.
I'm here.
I'm glad you are. Are you ready to go?
Yes, I'm ready to go.
All right.
And the most difficult time in my life happened 8 years ago, because my company made me redundant. In other words, I was about to be fired, and needless to say that I was scared about the idea of losing my job and to become poor. But okay, I was scared, and I suffered from a very deep depression. I spent all the time lying down in my bed and with no intention to go out. I didn't used to meet friends, to meet relatives of mine. and it was a very, very difficult time in my life, maybe the most one. Later on, I realized that it was a great opportunity for me to change my job, because okay, in every life we have to widen our horizons, even in our job. So I decided to, step by step, I decided to study, to study English, for example. I decided to study computer software. I decided to read more, and now I changed my job, and I'm a clerk right now, and I can say that without that bad experience, I wouldn't be the man that I am right now. So the piece of advice that I could offer, I could give to everybody is to trust in life, to be confident, and what else? And I can say that such things that don't kill you could strengthen you. So you have to be confident in life. We have to be confident in a brighter future, and that's it. This is my personal experience.
All right, Giovanni, thank you so much for that. For practicing there, I thought a great example, of course, of a difficult time, and thank you for giving us so much good description. And I think a great example of how to answer this question, because when I take a look, let's take a look at the 4 things we're supposed to hit. Let's see, what's the problem? What are the things that helped you overcome? What did you learn? What advice would you give others? Did Giovanni, do you think, did you answer all of those points?
Yes, I try to respect all the points that you gave me. So I think it's a good example for every answer. Thank you so much, teacher.
Oh no, and I agree with you. I think you did cover all 4 of those points. So a nice structure. You spent a good amount of the time giving that background, and the highlight for me was word choice. Some really excellent, appropriate vocabulary, and you used some good English phrases and terms. You're talking about widening horizons, and what doesn't kill us makes us stronger. Things like that. These are so great terminology. To make this even better, to make it even better, I would encourage you again just to keep speaking, keep practicing at English, so to improve the fluency, because the only real problem with the answer was some hesitation sometimes, and that's because of course you're looking for those appropriate words, and we know with practice at this stage in your English, with just practicing and continuing to listen and to speak, and of course to read as well, where all the best language is in English, that fluency is going to come and it's going to improve. So the word choice, very nice. The direct answer to the question, absolutely. So and of course a very clear description, and you finished with some good advice that is actually some good advice, which is nice.
Yeah.
As well, and I say this for everybody, that Giovanni's example, I hope we were all listening carefully, because a very nice example, and I don't mean that every difficult time story we give has to end in a positive ending. Sometimes a difficult time is just a difficult time, and we're sorry it happened, but we can also talk about it, just as Giovanni did, as a positive life change in the end. So I think that's a really nice way to answer that question. And yeah, thanks for practicing. That was a really nice example for us, Giovanni. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let me carry on here. We've got quarter of an hour. We've got some good time here. Let me see who was next on the list. Krim. Krim, you've been pretty patient there. Krim, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Excellent. Krim, I'm going to put that question. I think we all have memorized this question by now, but I'm going to put it back in the chat box so we can see it right there on the screen. Krim, please answer that question. Tell me, describe a time in your life that was difficult.
Well, for me, there is nothing was difficult for me, except one thing when I was a kid. Something about my dream. I wanted to be a writer, and then my mother told me that you have to focus on your studies, and being a writer will not help you in the future as a man for living, and you have to focus on another thing. So I had to give up on my dream that time, but she helped me to move on. I mean, she helped me. She told me to write down my dreams in sheet of paper, and why not? Maybe in the future you will make that come true. And I did. I finished my studies, and now I'm at the college. This year I will graduate. Maintenance industrial is my specialty, and now I'm trying to achieve my dream to write a book. Kind of, I write now poems in English because the English is not my native. It's not my native language. It's the Arabic. So writing poems in English is kind of difficult here.
Sure.
Yes, and now maybe after 1 year I will be able to introduce my first book. It's a collective of poems that I wrote, and I started writing that almost 40 years ago, and that's it. That's all.
Okay, and Krim, tell me, what advice can you give someone who's perhaps in a similar difficult situation?
I think it's the only advice: never give up your dreams, and try to write them in a sheet of paper. And one day you look to that paper and you will see that you have some dreams that you still didn't achieve, and you try to do it, even if you get old, or you will beg for them.
Yes. Okay, and I think that's important to finish that answer with some advice or some in your situation some encouraging words for someone who might be in a similar difficult situation. Krim, I got to say, I really liked your answer. I was worried at the start because the first thing you said was, well, I didn't really have any difficult situations, and I thought, oh no, we need to give them something. And sure enough, of course, the very next thing you did was to start talking about a situation that a lot of people can understand. A lot of people would be nodding and agreeing and thinking, oh, that happened to me as well. Yes, my parents said, oh, you can't do that. You have to have the steady job. You have to have a career. And that's what parents say most of the time. And most of the time they're right, of course. But it's a conflict between what we want when we're younger and of course, as you say, if we're creative, if we want to be writers, it can be difficult. It can be difficult not to pursue that, because that's something inside of us that we want to, that's burning inside and often doesn't go away. So, as you say, I love this idea of you writing this dream down and then keeping it, and then going back to it. And now, of course, you are writing as well at the moment. So it's again a very nice story. By the way, I like the descriptions of the relationship and how you felt at the time, and of course, how your mother was able to help you with that and the action that you took. So again, when we look at that structure, what was the problem? What were the things that helped? What did you learn? The advice. I feel like you covered those points. And after that frightening first sentence, absolutely a direct answer to that question. And for everybody here, when we get a question like that, a question like, oh, sorry, 1 second. Vincenzo, getting some noise from your microphone there. I had to mute that. We get a question like describe, tell me about. Most of the time in part 2, it's describe something when, right? You know, we have to give them something. Maybe if there's really nothing we can describe, we're going to have to make something up. If there's just really nothing we can think of, let's make something up. That's okay. This isn't an honesty test. Of course, it's much easier if we do have something we can talk about. And I would hope that everybody, of course, we're all different. We all have different, you know, different upbringings, different youths, different childhoods. But I would think that everybody in the world has something they could talk about in terms of a difficult situation. So yeah, I like that. I like that example. And Krim, thank you for practicing with us today. Let me go now to yes, Sakatura. Sakatura, are you there, please?
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. If you're ready, please go ahead and answer the question, please.
The difficult time in my life is when I broke up with my first girlfriend. Yes. In fact, we had a good relationship, and I loved her so much. But one day, she told me she needs time to think about our relationship, and she wants to be alone. She wants to break up, and after her left, I feel terrible. And I was so sad, so upset. I didn't want to do anything more. I will stay at home alone. Yes. But and then one day I realized why did I miss other girls? Yes, but I understand our activity miss miss friend, and I think I overcome the difficult time. After the difficult time, after that happened, I learned. I think I learned some experience when if in bad situation, in my situation, don't let you down. Don't let you down. You should make you up, make you strong. You feel better. And the advice I would give other when the people have the same situation like me, don't worry, because there are many fish in the sea.
True, very true. I like that. I think that must be the perfect last line to a part 2 question ever. I think plenty more fish in the sea. So Katura, tell me, when you were thinking about your answer, was that the first thing that you thought of talking about? Was that your first choice?
I think I choose the subject is not difficult for me. Yes, and I think I choose the vocabulary. That's why usually when you often speaking
Mm.
and describe the situation that I mentioned.
Okay, okay. And I thought an interesting answer and an interesting choice, of course. And I think a lot of people would, well, I think everyone knows how that feels, that difficult time you're describing about. Surely everyone on the planet has had that difficult time, just like you did. So I think a great example of something that we can talk about, you know, we can talk about very literal physical injuries, and we can talk about an emotional injury as well to our feelings and our emotions. So I thought very nice. You spent, of course, most of the time about the situation. If you take the opportunity, Sakatura, to practice that question again, I would absolutely spend more time thinking.
Sorry, teacher, my connect is so good.
Oh, you're back. Hey, I can actually see you now. That's good. I want to say that if you practice that question again, I would make sure that you give some more time to, well, what did you do? What did you do to, or what helps you get over that? And of course, talking about the advice as well. You mean your last line was perfect, by the way, for the advice for an English expression. That was a lot of fun.
Yes.
Sakatura, I think that was a great example. I want to go quickly to Can, because Can was nearly here at the start of our class, and I want to give Can a chance to speak. Hello, Can. Thank you for your patience.
Okay. Well, my problem was that when I was 15 years old, I took my father's car without any permission. So when I was driving on the road, I had a car crash. So when I realized that I had no license, no ID, no job, so what am I gonna do? So I had to talk to my father and said what happened. Of course, I was punished. I didn't take the car anymore until I turned 18 years old and I got my driver license.
Mm-hmm.
So the advice I'm gonna give you is that if you want something, it's better to get the permission for it.
Good advice. a very clear structure, Kenneth. Thank you for that, and an answer. The example again. I think a lot of people would be very sympathetic to what happened. A lot of people we've taken that car out and we've had problems as a younger person. So good example, nice structure, and yes, nice advice at the end as well. That was very nice. We have 60 seconds. Let me go to Can. Can you hear us, Can?
Ken, not
yeah?
Ken. I'm John.
Okay.
Not Ken. I'm John.
Okay. Oh, I see. I'm sorry. That was confusing for me when I saw that name. Would you like to give us an answer to this question?
Okay. My biggest problem is learning English. When I was at English preparation school in my university,
mm-hmm.
I couldn't pass the exam like TOEFL, IELTS, like that. After I studied 1 year at my preparation school, and I realized that my English or my listening and speaking wasn't that good, and then I found some videos from a teacher on the YouTube. Can you hear AJ Hawk?
Oh.
He is very successful teacher, and I joined his class. He always said, English couldn't learn with your eyes. You have to use your ears. And I realized I focused on this subject. I look for English audios, but it is not good for me because I'm bored when I listened audios, and I turned back to videos from YouTube, and I did lots of things to improve my English abilities. For example, you know the Ellen DeGeneres in American Woman.
Yeah.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
she has very good accent, and I can understand when she's talking.
Mm-hmm.
In my university, there is a system. Every student have to pass the proficiency in 2 years to begin their department of the university. I couldn't pass the exam at my first year in my university, and I studied 1.5 years. I was very nervous in that time, but finally I succeed the exam. But even though I cannot explain myself easily when I'm talking, first I should write before I talk. However, I found verbling. I hope I will solve my problem.
Maybe. I really like that answer. Thank you so much for staying patient with us, and I'm really glad you were able to practice with us as well. Lots of great description, and again, a classic example. Where all of these difficult situations I heard in class today, I can imagine most of us would be thinking, yes, we know about that difficult time as well. And that last one was a great example as well. So thank you, everyone, for staying with me in class for 3 minutes over schedule today. Please join me again. Please follow me on Facebook, and I will put my weekly verbling schedule on there so you know what kinds of classes I'm doing and when I'm doing them. Thank you so much for all your answers today. Thank you for your discussion. I'll see you again soon, okay? Thanks.